There was a forest ranger who always did his best. He wore a service uniform with a badge upon his breast. He had no interest except his forest. He ate his breakfast early, 3 hours before daylight. He'd hit the trail at sunup and keep it up till night. And then at night, he'd read and write. One day a tourist daughter got lost out in the brush. They sent for the forest ranger. He came in an awful rush. He said, "Don't worry, or I will hurry." He tracked her up the mountain and down the other side. And if he hadn't found her, she surely would have died. But she was plucky, and that was lucky. For when at last he found her, a great big grizzly bear had her up on a pile of rocks, and he was keeping her there. And now that ranger was in great danger. The ranger's rifle was empty, so he pulled his .45. The air was filled with the smoke of the gun, and the bear was still alive. And he was coming, and coming running. Now the bear, he hit the ranger, who fainted from the shock. The girl ran a hairpin down his ear and brained him with a rock. And with a knife, she took his life. The ranger's leg was broken, and they had to get outside. So the girl, she carried him 50 miles, and all the way she cried. She was so sad, and yet so glad. She nursed the ranger well until one moonlit night. He said, "My dear, won't you marry me? For you certainly can fight. You saved my life, please be my wife." "Oh yes, indeed," she answered, "but you certainly are slow. I'd rather marry a ranger than any man I know. I'd rather marry you than have to carry you." So then these two were married. They lived in a little house. They lived there one whole summer long, as quiet as a mouse. And they were happy, and yet so sappy. They had a little son, a boy just like his dad, who thought that forest rangering certainly was a fad. He rode away one summer day to become a forest ranger who always did his best. He wore a service uniform with a badge upon his breast. He had no interest except his forest.